An arrogant MA trainer publicly humiliates a black janitor in front of his students. What begins as a display of dominance quickly shifts when the quiet janitor responds with unexpected composure, leaving everyone on edge. Pick up the mop, boy, or pick up the gloves. Either way, your entertainment tonight. The voice cracked through the air like a whip. Dozens of trainees, their sweat dripping onto the mat, froze mid-breath. Some chuckled nervously, others stared, waiting to see how far their coach would go. The MMA gym reeked of sweat, disinfectant, and testosterone, a place where respect was supposed to be earned. But tonight, respect was being trampled. Coach Travis the Machine Harlan towered in the center, his arms folded across his chest. His cauliflowered ears and scarred eyebrows were trophies of a career built on violence. He was known for breaking fighters in training, not building them. To him, toughness meant humiliation. And tonight, his target wasn't one of his students. It was the man in coveralls, holding a mop. The janitor. He was tall, lean, but not bulky like the fighters. His dark skin gleamed under the harsh fluorescent lights, his hands calloused from years of unseen labor. His name tag read simply, Marcus. Marcus didn't flinch. He set the mop against the bucket, his quiet eyes meeting Travis's sneer. Around them, whispers rippled. Coach is really gonna do it. He's messing with the janitor? Man, that's messed up. Travis grinned wider, sensing the attention. What's the matter? Too scared? Or you just used to scrubbing floors while real men sweat on the mat? A low laugh rose from a cluster of fighters. Some looked away, uncomfortable, but none stepped forward. The weight of silence pressed down, complicit and cowardly. Marcus finally spoke, his voice calm, almost gentle. Respect doesn't come from the mat, or from your fists. It comes from how you treat people. The words seemed to sting more than a punch. Travis's jaw flexed. He stepped closer, his voice mocking. Poet and philosopher, huh? Let's see if your fists can rhyme. He yanked a pair of battered gloves from the shelf and tossed them at Marcus's feet. They landed with a dull thud. The gym erupted in mixed gasps and laughter. No way he's just a janitor. Coach is gonna destroy him. Marcus bent down, slowly picked up the gloves, and held them in his hands. His fingers traced the worn leather. For a moment, his face was unreadable, then he looked up. I'll step in, he said quietly. The room shifted. Chairs squeaked, sneakers scuffed. Some students exchanged wide-eyed looks, while others smirked, eager for a spectacle. Travis barked out a laugh. That's the spirit. Don't worry, I'll go easy. Don't want the boss yelling at me for breaking his cleaning staff. Marcus slipped on the gloves without a word. He didn't stretch, didn't shadow box, didn't bounce around like the others. He just stood there, still as stone, waiting. The cage door creaked open. Travis swaggered inside, throwing his arms up to hype the room. A chorus of cheers followed. For him, this was theater, another chance to prove he was untouchable. The janitor stepped in behind him. No theatrics, no gestures. Just quiet dignity. The cage locked. The audience pressed closer, faces lit by the fluorescent glare. Some smirked. Some frowned. No one knew what was about to happen. Travis circled, fists loose, shoulders relaxed. He was a predator playing with prey. Don't worry, he said loudly, for the crowd's benefit. I'll let him land one punch before I put him to sleep. Marcus didn't answer. His eyes followed Travis, calm, steady. The bell clanged. Travis lunged forward, swinging wide. The sound echoed, a whoosh of air, a miss. Marcus hadn't moved. Not even a blink. The crowd went silent. Travis smirked. All right. Guess I'll have to try harder. He came again, heavier this time. The mat trembled under his steps. Sweat sprayed as his fist cut through the air. And just as the punch came, Marcus's hand twitched. The room held its breath. The entire gym froze, watching that single motion. Something told him this wasn't going to end the way Travis thought. The cage rattled under the crowd's anticipation. Every pair of eyes fixed on the two men inside. Sweat, steel, and silence clung to the air like a storm about to break. Coach Travis grinned, bouncing lightly on his toes, rolling his shoulders as if loosening up for a warm-up drill. He wanted this to look easy. To him, Marcus wasn't an opponent. He was a prop. "Come on, Janitor," Travis jeered, feinting a jab to the face. "Show us you've got more than mop water in your veins." The audience chuckled, though not all of them. Some looked nervous, shifting uneasily. Marcus still hadn't moved, standing like a statue with his gloves resting at his sides. His breathing was steady, his gaze locked. It was unnerving. "Move, man!" One of the trainees shouted. "Coach is about to wreck you." Another laughed. Travis lunged again, this time throwing a sharp right hook meant to rattle Marcus's headgear. His knuckles cut the air. But just as the punch neared, Marcus tilted his head, barely, effortless. The glove missed by a whisper. Gasps erupted around the cage. "What the?" Travis muttered. Marcus didn't strike back. He just reset his posture, his calmness louder than any insult. His eyes said what his lips didn't. "You missed." Travis's grin faltered. A flash of irritation crossed his face, then he masked it with another bark of laughter. Okay. Lucky dodge." But luck runs out. The trainer surged forward, unleashing a flurry, jab, hook, uppercut, knee. His rhythm was sharp, practiced, brutal. The cage shook with every stomp of his foot. His body coiled in rage disguised as skill. But Marcus? He flowed. He slipped sideways, stepped back, ducked low. His movements weren't flashy, but they were exact. Every strike sailed past, grazing nothing but air. The audience's laughter thinned, replaced with murmurs. "Wait, he hasn't been hit once." "Coach looks mad. Who is this guy?" Travis's breath quickened. His chest rose and fell harder with each failed swing. The mockery in his voice wavered. "Stop running, boy. Stand and fight." Marcus finally spoke, soft but cutting through the noise. "You don't want me to stand." The words landed heavier than a punch. Travis snarled, rushing forward with raw fury. His arm cocked back, power in his shoulders, intent clear, and it with one devastating blow. The crowd leaned in. Phones lifted, recording. Sweat and adrenaline thickened the air. Then it happened. Marcus moved, fast, precise, and silent. His body twisted, his fist arcing with perfect timing. Crack. The sound echoed like a gunshot. Travis's head snapped sideways. His body stumbled, knees buckling, as if the ground itself had betrayed him. The gym erupted. "Oh my God! He hit him!" "Coach just..." Travis staggered, catching himself against the cage wall. His lips split, blood painting his teeth. His eyes were wide, wild, disbelieving. Marcus didn't press forward. He didn't celebrate. He simply lowered his glove, calm as ever. "I told you," he murmured. The silence that followed was deafening. The crowd no longer laughed. They watched in awe, confusion, and a hint of fear. Travis spat blood onto the mat, his pride wounded more than his face. His chest heaved as he glared at Marcus. Rage replaced shock, twisting into something uglier. "You think one lucky punch means anything?" He roared. "You're dead." He lunged again, reckless, furious, and Marcus's shoulders shifted, preparing for something bigger. As Travis charged like a raging bull, Marcus finally raised both gloves, not to defend, but to end it. The gym had never been this quiet. Dozens of trainees and onlookers pressed against the cage, their breath fogging the mesh, phones raised high. No one wanted to miss what came next. Sweat dripped from the ceiling, mixing with the metallic tang of blood already staining the mat. Coach Travis was red-faced, teeth bared like an animal. His chest heaved, his fists trembling. A man who had built his life on control, now losing it in front of everyone. Lucky shot. He spat, his voice cracking with fury. "I'll tear you apart." He stormed forward, a barrage of fists flying wild, fueled not by skill but pride. His knuckles cracked against the air, smashing into nothing. His feet pounded the mat in rage. Marcus moved differently. His body was loose, fluid, his steps measured. He wasn't dancing. He was gliding, slipping just out of reach with each attack. His gloves barely rose, yet every movement carried a surgeon's precision. The crowd murmured louder. "He's not even sweating." "Coach looks sloppy." "Yo, is this guy trained?" Travis swung a right hook with everything he had. Marcus ducked low, pivoted on his heel, and slid behind him. In one swift motion, his glove tapped Travis's ribs. Not hard. Just enough to make him grunt. Gasps rippled through the gym. Travis spun, enraged. He charged again, veins bulging in his temples. His strikes grew heavier, slower, messier. Each miss pulled him deeper into exhaustion. Marcus stayed calm. He didn't counter often. He didn't need to. The more Travis missed, the more foolish he looked. The silence between each failed punch was louder than any cheer. Finally, Marcus struck. A sharp jab, lightning fast, snapped Travis's head back. Blood sprayed from his nose, spattering the mat in a crimson arc. The audience erupted. No way. Coach is bleeding. Did you see how fast that was? Travis stumbled, clutching his face. His once confident grin was gone, replaced with rage and disbelief. He looked less like a champion, more like a desperate man cornered by his own pride. Marcus's voice cut through the chaos, low and steady. You're not fighting me. You're fighting yourself. Those words hit harder than the jab. The crowd went silent, hanging on the weight of them. Travis roared, charging again, swinging wildly. His glove collided with Marcus's guard, the first contact he had managed. But when Marcus absorbed the blow and didn't flinch, Travis's eyes widened. His power meant nothing. Marcus shifted, his counterstrike snapping like a whip. A left cross slammed into Travis's jaw. The sound echoed through the cage. The trainer's legs buckled. He dropped to one knee. The crowd screamed, "Coach is down." No way, this can't be happening. Travis spat more blood, pushing himself up with trembling arms. His eyes burned with humiliation. A man worshipped as untouchable, now struggling to rise before his own students. Marcus didn't move. He didn't gloat. He stood still, gloves at his sides, watching. "Stay down," he said softly. The cage vibrated with a roar of voices. Phones captured every second. The humiliation was live, immortalized, unstoppable. But Travis wasn't done. His pride wouldn't let him stop. He forced himself up, staggering, his body swaying like a drunk. His nose streamed blood, his lips split open. He growled, low and feral. "You're nothing. Nothing but a janitor." Marcus's expression didn't change. His silence said everything. Travis clenched his fists again, his rage blinding him. He staggered forward, ready to throw another desperate strike, and Marcus shifted his weight, muscles coiling, eyes narrowing. The crowd held its breath. Travis launched his most reckless attack yet, but Marcus was already moving to deliver the blow that could end it all. Travis roared like a cornered beast, his fist swinging wide, reckless, dripping with desperation. The mat thundered beneath his stomps, each step heavier than the last. His eyes were wild, veins bulging at his temples, blood dripping down his face. "Stay still," he bellowed, spittle flying from his mouth. "I'll break you in half." The cage rattled as he lunged, his glove tearing through the air. But Marcus was already there, or rather, not there. He slid sideways, his movement so smooth it was like water flowing around stone. And then crack. Marcus's fist shot forward, sharp and clean. It met Travis's chin with surgical accuracy. The sound rang out like a hammer striking an anvil. Travis's head snapped back. His legs buckled, arms flailing. For a moment, time slowed, the towering trainer suspended between pride and collapse. Then he crashed to the mat. The room erupted. "Oh my God! Coach is down! He's out! No way that just happened, no way!" The students pressed closer, eyes wide, mouths open. Some cheered. Some looked horrified. Phones trembled in hands, capturing every second. The king of their gym, humiliated by the janitor. Marcus didn't move in for another strike. He stepped back, gloves lowered, his chest barely rising. His calmness was unnerving, almost frightening. The referee on staff rushed into the cage, kneeling beside Travis. The trainer groaned, blood dribbling from his lip, his body twitching as he tried to sit up. "Stay down. Man, Someone from the crowd muttered but Travis shoved the ref away weakly, his pride heavier than his injuries. He staggered to his knees, spitting red onto the mat, glaring at Marcus with hate burning in his eyes. You're not just a janitor, he rasped. Marcus's expression didn't change. He peeled off one glove, letting it drop to the mat with a dull thud. His knuckles, dark and scarred, told their own story. He didn't answer, but his silence screamed the truth. The whispers started almost instantly. Did you see the way he moved? That wasn't luck. That was training. He fights like he's done this before. Like pro level. Travis wiped his face, trembling with rage. Who the hell are you? He growled, his voice breaking. For the first time, Marcus spoke more than a sentence. His voice was calm, but it carried across the gym like a drumbeat. You think respect is earned by breaking people. But real fighters know respect is earned by protecting them. Gasps rippled through the crowd. The words hit harder than any punch. Travis staggered to his feet, wobbling, his pride barely keeping him upright. His students watched, unsure whether to cheer him on or accept what they had just seen. The balance of loyalty shifted in the silence. A voice from the crowd broke through. Wait, I've seen him before. Heads turned. A young man near the back, phone in hand, squinted at Marcus. He's not just some janitor. That's Marcus Cole. He used to fight. Heavyweight division. Back in the day, the words rippled like lightning through the room. No way. Marcus Cole? The one who disappeared? I thought he retired years ago. Travis froze, his glare faltering. His chest heaved as the truth began to sink in. Marcus Cole. A name spoken in hushed tones. A fighter who had once been known not for losing, but for walking away at the peak of his career. A man who chose silence over fame. Marcus slipped off the other glove, letting it fall to the mat. His eyes locked on Travis's, steady, unwavering. I clean your floors, he said softly, but don't mistake that for weakness. The crowd erupted in whispers, phones buzzing with searches, faces lighting up as they pulled up old fight clips, headlines, grainy photos. The truth spread like wildfire. Travis's lips trembled. His arrogance cracked. He wasn't just fighting a janitor. He was fighting a ghost from the fighting world and losing. Still, his pride wouldn't let him stop. He stumbled forward, fists raised again. This isn't over. He roared. Marcus's eyes narrowed, his body settling into a stance that sent shivers through the crowd. And for the first time, his students began to wonder if their coach had just made the worst mistake of his life. With the truth of Marcus's past revealed, Travis prepared for another desperate round. But now, the entire gym knew who truly held the power. The gym buzzed with a new energy, an electric tension no one could ignore. The name had spread like wildfire. Marcus Cole. Some searched his old fights on their phones, grainy clips flashing on screens. The younger trainees whispered in awe. The older ones, those who knew the sports history, stared at Marcus like they were seeing a ghost. Meanwhile, Travis swayed on his feet, his face a mask of fury and shame. His nose bled freely, his lips swollen, his eyes bloodshot. But his pride kept him standing. I don't care who you are, he spat, his voice hoarse. You're nothing in my cage. The students didn't cheer. Not this time. Their silence weighed heavier than booze. Travis growled, bouncing shakily on his feet. He threw a jab, sloppy, desperate. Marcus slipped it with ease. The trainer followed with a hook, but his balance faltered. His punch cut through empty air, leaving him exposed. Marcus didn't strike. He just stepped back, letting Travis's failure hang in the silence. The crowd murmured. Coach looks weak. He's gassed already. Marcus isn't even trying. Travis's face twisted, humiliation gnawing at him. He charged again, flailing with wild combinations. Sweat flew from his brow, blood streaking his chest. His strikes had lost all form, all discipline. Marcus finally raised his gloves, his posture precise, elegant. He blocked a jab, slipped under a hook, then snapped a crisp UPPERCUT. Thud. The sound echoed, and Travis's head snapped back. His knees buckled, forcing him to grab the cage for support. Gasps shook the room. Stay down, coach. One trainee shouted instinctively, but Travis shook his head. Staggering upright, his pride louder than his body's cries. I'm not done, he roared. Marcus's voice came, calm and steady. You already are. The words cut through the gym like a blade. Travis roared, lunging one last time, but Marcus pivoted sharply. His fist shot forward, a straight right, perfect, clean, final, crack. Travis collapsed flat on his back, the mat trembling under his weight. His arms sprawled, chest heaving, eyes glassy. Silence. For a heartbeat, no one moved. Then the whispers started. He knocked him out. Coach is done. This is unreal. The referee knelt, checking Travis, who groaned weakly but couldn't rise. His pride had been shattered as completely as his body. Marcus stepped back, peeling off his wraps, his expression unchanged. He didn't gloat, didn't smile. His silence was louder than any celebration. The crowd erupted, not in cheers, but in a storm of questions. Why is he a janitor? Why'd he walk away from fighting? What's he doing here? Travis groaned, rolling to his side, coughing blood. He pointed a trembling finger at Marcus. You? You don't belong here, he muttered, broken and bitter. Marcus finally spoke, his voice calm, carrying across the stunned gym. I belong wherever respect is needed. The crowd fell silent again. His words hung heavy, undeniable. And then, from the back of the room, a new voice broke the silence. Marcus Cole doesn't just belong here. He should be running this place. Heads turned. One of Travis's senior students stepped forward, his gaze steady. He looked at Marcus, then at the broken man on the mat. The balance of power shifted. The student's loyalty cracked. The once feared coach lay defeated, while the janitor stood tall, silent, and unshaken. But Marcus didn't answer. He simply walked toward the cage door, his gloves dangling from his hands. His back straight. As he stepped out, whispers followed him. Louder, bolder. And Travis, still on the floor, realized the nightmare wasn't just his defeat. It was the collapse of everything he had built. With Travis broken and the gym questioning their loyalty, Marcus walks out, but his past refuses to stay hidden. And someone unexpected is waiting outside. Come on, old man. Swing at me before you die of a heart attack. The trainer's cruel voice echoed through the gym, dripping with arrogance. The crowd roared with laughter, stomping their feet on the wooden bleachers. Phones flashed as dozens of people recorded, expecting to capture a humiliating knockout that would go viral by morning. The janitor Samuel stood in silence. His hands weren't even raised yet. His chest rose and fell with steady breaths, as though he were simply watching the world, not standing under the glare of floodlights in the middle of a boxing ring. His eyes, calm and unshaken, studied the trainer's every twitch. From the sidelines, the other fighters leaned forward. Some whispered, "This is gonna be ugly." Others smirked, already imagining the memes. The trainer bounced on his toes, flexing for the cameras, his muscles rippling under the sweat and spotlight. Look at him. The trainer sneered, pointing toward Samuel. A janitor. A mop man. Cleaning floors while real men fight. Tonight, you're about to learn your place. The crowd whistled and jeered. Samuel finally raised his hands, not shaky, not weak, but deliberate. His knuckles cracked softly as he curled them into fists. A hush of tension swept the air. Something about the way he stood, centered, balanced, grounded, wasn't ordinary. The bell rang. Ding. The trainer exploded forward like a cannonball, throwing a jab at Samuel's face. The old man didn't flinch. He simply tilted his head, letting the punch slide past like wind brushing a curtain. Gasps rippled through the crowd. The trainer frowned, fired again, left jab, right cross. Samuel leaned just enough for each strike to miss, his body moving with quiet grace. He wasn't scrambling. He wasn't panicking. He was calculating. Stop dancing, old man. The trainer barked, throwing a hook meant to take Samuel's head off. Samuel dipped low, his shoulder brushing the trainer's ribs as the punch sliced air. The trainer stumbled half a step, blinking in disbelief. The audience erupted. Some laughed at the trainer's miss. Others squinted, realizing something strange was happening. "He's not even sweating," one whispered. "He's too calm," another said. The trainer shook it off, raising his gloves high. "All right, enough games." He lunged forward again, this time with a flurry jab, jab, hook, uppercut. Samuel's feet slid gently across the canvas, each movement minimal, each dodge timed perfectly. His eyes never left the trainer's, deep and steady like dark water. Then it came, the first counter dot as the trainer's right hook whistled through the air. Samuel's left hand shot up like lightning. Pop! A sharp jab cracked against the trainer's nose. It wasn't heavy, but it was precise, snapping his head back. The gym gasped. The trainer blinked rapidly, touching his nose. Blood. Just a thin red line, but enough to shatter his smug expression. His jaw clenched, rage replacing mockery. "You're dead," he snarled. He charged recklessly, swinging wild. Samuel waited calm, grounded, coiled like a spring. The trainer's fists cut the air, one after another, missing by inches. Sweat poured from his temples, his breath already heavy. And then Samuel struck again. Wham! A short right hook buried itself into the trainer's ribs. The sound was sickening, a hollow thud that echoed through the gym. The trainer staggered, clutching his side for a moment, his eyes wide in shock. The crowd erupted in chaos, shouts, screams, disbelief. "Did you see that?" "No way. That janitor just landed clean." "Yo, he's not what we thought." Phone zoomed closer, recording every second. Social media was already buzzing, though no one in the gym knew it yet. The trainer tried to laugh it off, raising his gloves again, but the smirk was gone. His arrogance cracked like a mirror. Samuel, still calm, adjusted his stance. His voice finally broke the silence. "I didn't come here to prove anything to you. You brought me here. Remember that." His tone was quiet, but it sliced through the noise like a blade. The trainer's face flushed red. "You think that was something?" The trainer barked, though his voice carried a tremor now. "You just got lucky. Watch this." He threw another reckless combination, but his speed was slowing. His footwork sloppy. The janitor's jab snapped out again. Pop. Right on the cheek. Another pop. To the temple. Each shot sharp, controlled, deliberate. The trainer's head rocked side to side. The audience's laughter had vanished, replaced by gasps and stunned silence. With every missed punch, with every landed jab, the balance of power shifted. Samuel wasn't the victim. He wasn't the weak old man everyone expected. He was something else, something dangerous, something refined. And then, with the crowd on its feet, the moment came. The trainer charged, fists blazing, trying to overwhelm Samuel. But the janitor slipped under, coiled, and boom. A right hand detonated across the trainer's jaw. His head snapped sideways, sweat sprang into the floodlights. His knees buckled. The gym fell silent. The once arrogant trainer stumbled, arms hanging loose, eyes blinking in disbelief. For a heartbeat, it looked like he might collapse right there. The bell rang, saving him. Ding. The round was over. Samuel stepped back, lowering his hands, calm as ever. The trainer slumped against the ropes, clutching his face, his chest heaving with ragged breaths. The crowd erupted into pandemonium, shouting, screaming, phones flashing nonstop. Nobody could believe what they'd just witnessed. The janitor hadn't just survived. He had dominated. And as Samuel walked back to his corner, he whispered to himself, so softly no one else could hear, "You shouldn't have forced me here." The trainer, humiliated, spat blood into a bucket. His pride was cracking, and everyone could see it. But this was just the beginning. The trainer had barely survived the first round, and the crowd was no longer laughing. What they didn't know was that Samuel hadn't even started fighting yet. "Get up. You're embarrassing yourself out there." The trainer's corner man barked at him, pressing an ice pack against his ribs. The trainer spat a glob of blood into the bucket and slammed his fist against the stool. His jaw throbbed where Samuel's hook had landed. His ribs burned with every breath, and yet the sting of pain wasn't what haunted him most. It was the silence. Not the silence of the gym, it was still roaring, buzzing with disbelief, but the silence in his head. The hollow void where his confidence used to live. He had walked into the ring expecting to humiliate an old janitor. Instead, the janitor had made him bleed. And worse, the entire gym had witnessed it, across the ring. Samuel sat on his stool like a man resting after sweeping floors. No heavy breathing, no panic, no wild-eyed desperation. Just calm. His hands rested on his thighs, his eyes fixed straight ahead. His presence alone felt like a quiet storm, building strength beneath still waters. Ding. The bell for round 2 echoed through the gym. The trainer leapt up, trying to mask his pain with bravado. "Round 2, old man," he sneered, though his voice cracked. "This time you're going down." Samuel rose slowly, unshaken, and moved toward the center of the ring. The crowd leaned forward as if drawn by invisible strings, phones flashing, hearts pounding. They had come to laugh at a janitor's humiliation, but now they were watching something different, a story they would never forget. The trainer lunged first, throwing a wild overhand right. Samuel slipped under it with effortless grace, pivoted, and tapped a quick jab to the trainer's cheek. Pop. The sound was sharp, almost surgical. The trainer's head snapped sideways. The crowd gasped. He tried again, a flurry of punches, sweat flying as his arms blurred. Samuel stepped back, letting the storm pass, then pop. Pop, 2 jabs right down the middle. Each one precise, each one puncturing the trainer's pride. The trainer gritted his teeth. His body was already slowing, but his ego screamed louder than his lungs. "You think you can outbox me?" he shouted, spittle flying. "You're nothing but a janitor." Samuel's reply was calm, a whisper compared to the trainer's roar. A broom in the right hand sweeps away trash. The crowd erupt, half in laughter, half in disbelief. Someone shouted, "Yo, he talked." Phones shot up higher. That line would echo through social media for weeks. The trainer's face turned red with rage. He charged again, swinging hooks with reckless fury. Each punch missed by inches, Samuel sliding away like smoke. The trainer's gloves whooshed through empty air. His chest heaved harder with every miss. Samuel finally struck a quick counterhook that cracked. Across the trainer's temple. Thud. The trainer staggered sideways, knees trembling. He caught himself on the ropes, blinking as stars danced before his eyes. The audience's cheers hit a fever pitch. "Oh my God! He's getting destroyed! That janitor is a monster!" The trainer raised his gloves, trying to mask his panic, but his hands trembled. He looked across the ring at Samuel and saw not a tired old man, but something terrifying: control, calm, power. Why is he so steady? The trainer thought. Why isn't he tired? Desperation gripped him. He lunged forward, aiming low, trying to tackle Samuel against the ropes. But Samuel sidestepped, pivoting like a dancer, and buried a right hand into the trainer's midsection. Wham! Air rushed from the trainer's lungs in a painful grunt. He doubled over, stumbling backward, clutching his stomach. The crowd exploded again, the noise deafening. Even the fighters on the sidelines stared with wide eyes. One leaned over to another, whispering, "Yo, I think that janitor's been here before." "That ain't beginner stuff." The trainer tried to swing again, but his arms felt heavy. He could hear his own breath rasping, could feel the ache in his ribs spreading with every second. Sweat poured into his eyes, stinging his vision. Samuel moved in, not rushing, not desperate. Just steady. His jab touched the trainer's face again and again, snapping his head back like a metronome. Pop, pop, pop. Each one louder than the last, echoing through the stunned silence between crowd eruptions. The trainer's corner screamed, "Guard up! Guard up!" But he couldn't keep his hands high. His body refused. And Samuel was only beginning. He slipped inside a lazy hook and whispered so only the trainer could hear, "You don't understand, do you? You can't break someone who's already carried more weight than you'll ever know." Then crack! A left hook thundered across the trainer's jaw. The trainer stumbled, legs wobbling. His arms flailed as he crashed against the ropes, barely keeping himself upright. The referee stepped in, hands hovering, ready to stop it. The crowd was on its feet, screaming, recording, pointing. "Finish him. This is unreal. He's done." But Samuel didn't rush. He didn't seek glory. He stood in the center of the ring, gloves raised but calm, watching his opponent crumble under his own arrogance. The bell saved the trainer again. Ding. The trainer collapsed onto his stool, chest heaving, blood trickling from his nose, pride shattered in front of everyone. He didn't even hear the crowd anymore. All he heard was his own ragged breathing, the pounding in his ears, and the terrifying silence of Samuel's calm presence. The janitor sat in his corner, untouched, breathing steady, eyes lowered. The fight wasn't over, but everyone in the gym knew the truth. The trainer wasn't fighting Samuel anymore. He was fighting himself. The once invincible trainer now looked broken, while Samuel hadn't even broken a sweat. But whispers began spreading through the crowd, questions about who Samuel really was, and why a simple janitor moved like a professional fighter. The bell rang again. Ding. Round 3. The trainer pushed himself off the stool, his legs unsteady, his ribs aching with every breath. His jaw throbbed, his vision blurred at the edges. Sweat clung to his body like chains, weighing him down. Yet still, pride forced him forward. "I'm not done," he muttered under his breath, as though saying it aloud would make it true. Across the ring, Samuel stood tall, shoulders relaxed, eyes steady. No heavy breathing. No panic. Just the quiet focus of a man who had been here before. And that was the problem. The crowd felt it too. Whispers spread like wildfire across the bleachers. "Yo, he moves like a pro. There's no way he's just a janitor. Look at that stance, bro, he's trained. You don't dodge like that without years of work." Phones streamed live across the internet. Comments flooding faster than punches. "Who is this guy? No janitor fights like that. He's hiding something. This trainer's about to get exposed for real." The trainer heard the whispers. They stabbed into him sharper than Samuel's punches. His humiliation wasn't just in the ring anymore, it was global. The referee signaled. The fight resumed. The trainer raised his gloves, forcing himself to move. He jabbed, sluggish, but still sharp enough to sting. Samuel didn't retreat. He stepped in, closing the gap, slipping past the jab with a tilt of his head. Pop. A quick counter to the ribs. Wham. Another to the chin. The trainer staggered backward, teeth gritted, growling in frustration. His corner shouted desperately, "Stay on him. Pressure him." But how do you pressure a man who didn't flinch? A man who stood like a mountain while the storm broke itself against him? Why aren't you tired? The trainer spat, his chest heaving. Samuel finally spoke, his voice low but steady. "Because this isn't my first fight. Just my first against you." The trainer's eyes widened. He threw another reckless hook, but Samuel slipped it, his movement smooth as silk. The crowd roared again. The whispers grew louder. Someone in the back shouted, "I know him. That's Samuel Cole. He used to fight in the military program Special Forces boxing team." The gym froze. Dozens of eyes turned toward Samuel, shock widening their faces. The trainer felt his stomach twist. Special Forces? The words hit him harder than the punches. He tried to shake it off. "Lies, he's just a janitor." He barked, desperate to reclaim control. But the damage was done. The crowd wasn't laughing anymore. They were watching with reverence, awe, curiosity. And their respect wasn't for the trainer. It was for the man he had mocked. Samuel's fists moved again. Quick jabs, sharp hooks, controlled strikes that landed with surgical accuracy. Each blow wasn't just physical, it chipped away at the trainer's very identity. Pop. Wham. Crack. The trainer's head snapped back, his body folding under the rhythm. His arms felt like lead. His lungs burned with fire. "Still standing?" Samuel asked almost gently. The trainer tried to snarl, but his voice cracked. You got lucky." Samuel shook his head. "Luck ends after the first punch. This is discipline." He slipped inside and landed a devastating uppercut that lifted the trainer's head skyward. The sound of it echoed like a gunshot. The crowd erupted into chaos screams, gasps, shouts of disbelief. "He's done. That janitor's a beast." "No, he's more than a janitor." The trainer stumbled backward, barely holding on to the ropes. His chest rose and fell with ragged gasps, his knees threatening to buckle. His pride screamed at him to stand tall, but his body betrayed him. And Samuel? He stood calm, gloves lowered, watching with quiet dignity. The whispers now became chants. Samuel. 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 The name thundered through the gym, shaking the very walls. The same crowd that had laughed at him minutes ago now roared his name like he was a champion. The trainer's face twisted with rage and fear. He couldn't accept it. Not here, not like this, no. This is my ring. He shouted, spittle flying from his mouth. You hear me? Mine. He rushed forward, throwing one last desperate combination. But Samuel slipped every strike with surgical precision. He ducked, weaved, pivoted. And then, with the crowd at fever pitch, he delivered a punishing right cross that landed square on the trainer's temple. Boom! The trainer spun, collapsing to one knee. His gloves hung loose. His mouth bled. His pride shattered. The referee hovered, ready to count. The crowd screamed for the finish. Phones shook as thousands watched history unfold, but Samuel didn't strike again. He stepped back, calm as ever, his voice carrying softly over the roaring chaos. Stay down. You've already lost more than the fight. The trainer, trembling, tried to rise. But his legs betrayed him. His arms shook. His pride fought harder than his body, but even that was crumbling. The bell rang before the referee could finish. Ding. Saved again. But this time, the trainer didn't rush to his corner. He stumbled, nearly collapsing, his corner men rushing to hold him up. His head sagged forward, his eyes dull with defeat. Across the ring, Samuel simply sat on his stool, calm, breathing steady. He hadn't even broken a sweat. And now, the whole gym knew the truth. Samuel wasn't just a janitor. He was something else. Something greater. And the trainer? He wasn't a champion anymore. He was prey. The crowd now chanted Samuel's name, the truth of his past leaking into the open. The trainer's body was breaking, his pride in ruins. But the fight wasn't over yet, and Samuel hadn't even unleashed his full power. The fourth round began under a storm of noise. Ding. The trainer staggered out of his corner, legs trembling, chest heaving, ribs aching. His swollen face glistened under the lights, every bruise and cut a cruel reminder of his arrogance. His corner men had begged him to quit, but pride forced him to stand. No. I'm not done, he growled, though his voice cracked. Not to him. Across the ring, Samuel rose smoothly from his stool. No bruises. No heavy breaths. No cracks in his armor. He looked less like a fighter and more like a man who had simply accepted his duty. Calm, steady, unshaken. The crowd's chant filled the gym. Samuel. 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 Each syllable hit the trainer like a hammer, breaking his spirit further. Just minutes ago, this crowd had laughed with him, mocking the janitor. Now they cheered for the man he tried to humiliate. The trainer's jaw tightened. Rage burned through his veins. He lunged forward, swinging wide, desperate to reclaim what was lost. Samuel didn't flinch. Pop. A jab snapped the trainer's head back. Wham! A hook dug into his ribs. Crack. An uppercut lifted his chin skyward. The trainer stumbled, blood spraying from his lip. He barely kept his feet beneath him, clutching the ropes to stay upright. The crowd roared. Oh my God! He's destroying him! This isn't even close anymore. The trainer's pride screamed louder than the pain. He staggered forward, arms drooping, eyes blazing with desperation. I'm not finished. Samuel's eyes softened, almost pitying. Yes, you are. Another combination landed with surgical precision. The trainer's body rocked, his knees threatening to buckle. The referee hovered close, ready to step in, but the trainer waved him off, clinging to the last shreds of pride. From the sidelines, one of the younger fighters whispered, "This ain't a fight anymore. This is a lesson." And it was. Every punch Samuel threw wasn't just striking the trainer's body, it was dismantling his arrogance piece by piece. Exposing the fragility beneath. The trainer tried to swing back, a slow, sloppy hook. Samuel ducked beneath it effortlessly and buried a hook into his ribs. Thud. The trainer's breath left him in a wheeze. He bent over, clutching his side. The crowd gasped. Phone zoomed closer. The internet comments poured in. This dude's finished. That janitor is unreal. Special forces? Makes sense now. Trainer's career is done on live stream. The trainer forced himself upright, rage mixing with tears. His pride, once towering, now looked pathetic. You think you're better than me? He shouted, voice hoarse, spitting blood onto the mat. Samuel shook his head slowly. No, I just think you should have respected me. Then came the moment. The trainer lunged forward one last time, fists flailing, body screaming in protest. Samuel pivoted smoothly, his right fist coiling, then boom. A straight right smashed against the trainer's jaw. His head snapped back violently, sweat and blood flying into the lights. His body spun and crashed to the canvas. The crowd exploded into chaos, screams, shouts, chants. Phones shaking in hands as thousands of viewers online gasped at the same moment. The referee dropped to the mat. 1, 2, 3. The trainer groaned, forcing his arms beneath him. His body screamed in pain. His pride screamed louder. Somehow, impossibly, he pushed himself to his knees. 4, 5. The crowd watched in disbelief. The trainer's arms shook as he tried to rise. His legs trembled like broken pillars. 6, 7. He collapsed back down to his knees, gasping for breath. Sweat dripping into the blood on the mat. The referee's voice thundered again. 8, 9, and then, with a roar that sounded more like desperation than strength, the trainer forced himself to his feet. The crowd gasped. The referee checked his eyes. They were glassy, but full of stubbornness. Do you want to continue? The referee asked. The trainer spat blood, wiped his mouth with his glove, and nodded. I won't quit, not. To him. The referee hesitated, then allowed it to continue. The crowd buzzed in shock. Some respected the trainer's refusal to give up. Others saw it for what it was: foolish pride dragging him deeper into humiliation. Samuel stepped forward again, calm, steady. Deadly. The trainer raised his fists, trembling, swaying like a tree about to fall. His eyes locked on Samuel's, but for the first time there was no arrogance left. Only fear. Why? Why are you doing this? The trainer whispered through bloody lips. Samuel's reply was quiet, but it carried through the entire gym. Because men like you need to learn dignity can't be beaten down. He struck again, a sharp jab. A devastating hook. A thunderous uppercut. The trainer's head snapped back, his body collapsing against the ropes. The referee jumped in, arms waving. Stop. That's it. The bell rang. Ding. The fight was over. The crowd erupted into madness, screaming, chanting Samuel's name, phones flashing non-stop. Social media was already exploding with clips. The world watching in real time as arrogance crumbled before dignity. The trainer sagged against the ropes, his chest heaving, eyes full of broken pride. His corner men rushed in, holding him upright. He refused to sit, refused to be carried, but his trembling legs betrayed him. Across the ring, Samuel lowered his gloves and bowed his head. Not in celebration, not in arrogance, but in quiet respect for the fight, for the moment, and for the lesson taught. The crowd's chant thundered louder than ever. Samuel! 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 And for the trainer, it was worse than defeat. It was legacy erased, pride shattered, humiliation eternal. The fight was over, but the story wasn't. The crowd demanded answers. Who exactly was Samuel? And what would happen to the trainer now that his arrogance had collapsed in front of the entire world? The bell had silenced the storm, but the echoes of chaos still thundered through the gym. Phones hovered like lanterns in a digital night, catching every moment, every drop of sweat, every tremble of the beaten trainer still clinging to the ropes. Trevor's chest heaved like a broken machine, lungs screaming for air, pride screaming louder. His swollen eyes blinked at the sea of faces that had once laughed with him, now turned against him, their chants like knives. Samuel! 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 The name crashed over him like waves, drowning out his very existence. He tried to speak, tried to shout something, anything, But all that left his mouth was blood and silence. His cornermen whispered, begging him to sit, but he shoved them away, staggering toward the middle of the ring. His voice cracked, broken. He's just a janitor. The crowd jeered. The words that once dripped with arrogance now sounded like excuses from a fallen man. Samuel stood on the opposite side, gloves lowered, eyes steady. He hadn't raised his arms in victory. He hadn't shouted. He hadn't celebrated. He just stood there calm, like a storm that had already passed. Reporters swarmed toward the ring, microphones stretched, cameras flashing. The live stream comment sections burned. That wasn't luck, he fought like a pro. Who is this guy really? Special Forces rumors confirmed? Trainer finished. His career is done. The gym owner, red-faced and sweating, climbed into the ring, trying to salvage control of the chaos. He grabbed a mic. All right, calm down. He shouted, though his voice shook. Ladies and gentlemen, I think you all witnessed something unexpected tonight. The crowd's roar only grew. He turned to Samuel, thrusting the mic toward him. The people want to know, who are you? How did a janitor do that? All eyes turned to Samuel. For a long moment, Samuel said nothing. He slowly unwrapped his gloves, fingers moving with the same patience he'd shown in the ring. The silence stretched until it was almost unbearable. Finally, he lifted his gaze. His voice, though soft, carried to every corner of the gym. My name, he began, is Samuel Wright. The crowd leaned in, hungry for the truth. I've worked here as your janitor for years. You never looked twice at me. You never wondered who I was, only what I did for you. Floors, toilets, trash. The words stung, slicing through the air. Even Trevor, battered and broken, winced. But before this mob, before this uniform, Samuel continued, I wore another uniform. Gasps rippled through the crowd. I served 20 years in the U.S. Army, 10 of those with Special Forces. I trained men to fight, to survive, to protect. I've seen arrogance destroy soldiers. I've seen pride kill men faster than bullets. And tonight, he looked toward Trevor, not with hatred, but with pity. Tonight was nothing new. The gym fell silent, the weight of his revelation crashing down like thunder. Trevor's face twisted with disbelief. Lies, he shouted, though his voice cracked. He's lying. He's just enough. The gym owner barked, grabbing Trevor's arm. Everyone saw it. Everyone knows it. You couldn't touch him. The younger fighters, those who had once laughed the loudest, now stared at Samuel with wide, guilty eyes. Their whispers carried shame. I called him a joke. We treated him like dirt. And he was a soldier this whole time. The old boxer in the back nodded slowly, recognition settling in his tired gaze. I knew that footwork, he murmured. That discipline, you can't fake that. Social media exploded in real time. Clips of Samuel's uppercut, his calm footwork, his final knockout punch spread like wildfire. Hashtags trended instantly. Hashtag janitor champion, hashtag special forces Samuel, hashtag humility vs arrogance commentators, influencers, and fighters across the globe weighed in. This wasn't a fight, it was justice. Trevor's finished. His career is over. I want Samuel in my corner. That's a real fighter. Sponsors began pulling statements from Trevor's deals. His pride hadn't just been beaten, it had been erased publicly. Permanently. Trevor sagged against the ropes, tears mixing with blood. His voice broke as he muttered, They'll forget me. I'm done. Samuel walked closer, standing over him not with gloating, but with gravity. He bent down just enough for only Trevor to hear. They won't forget you, Samuel whispered. But they'll remember what you did tonight. You tried to break a man you didn't respect. And you learned respect is earned, not taken. Trevor's lips trembled. He had no answer. As medics rushed in to check him, Samuel stepped out of the ring. The crowd parted, not mocking him anymore, but honoring him. Hands reached out not to shove, but to touch, to thank. He walked past them all, calm and steady, heading back to the mop bucket in the corner. He picked it up, wrung the mop once, and began wiping a patch of sweat and blood from the floor. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Again, even after everything, after victory, after revelation, after the world finally saw him, he returned to his duty. Quiet dignity. No arrogance. No celebration. And that was the lesson. One of the younger fighters, tears stinging his eyes, whispered to another, "That man's stronger than any champion I've ever seen." The chant began again. Softer this time, almost reverent. "Samuel. Samuel, Samuel." And though he never looked up, Samuel heard it. The world had seen arrogance fall. The world had seen dignity rise. And the world would never forget the janitor who knocked out pride with a single punch.